It's not a badge of honor to be busy. You are just as worthy a person if you can do what you do in less time or with less agony. I agree that a lot of things that are uncomfortable end up being worthwhile, and I have to talk myself into them. But that said, I hate that whole idea of all the magic happens outside your comfort zone. I feel like so much magic happens in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave it every time I get the chance. No, thanks.
Welcome to How to Trust Yourself, the podcast for anyone who's done with the endless second guessing and ready to tune in to your inner guidance. I'm Anna Holtzman, and I get that feeling of trudging through life like you're wading through mud, trying to figure out which way to go. In my 20s, I spent more time asking what should I do with my life than writing about crushes or bad dates in my journal. I've tried on a lot of answers: architecture, publishing, editing reality TV for a decade, and finally landing on therapy and coaching, helping people like you connect with your purpose. But here's the thing I've learned through all those twists and turns. Trusting yourself is the key to moving forward, even when the path feels messy. So if you're ready to stop doubting yourself and start listening to your gut, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back, dear listener. Today's conversation is funny, real, and unapologetically human with someone I've been a big fan of for a long time. Laura Belgray is a copywriter who helps people get paid to be themselves. She's the founder of Talking Shrimp, co-creator of The Copy Cure, and author of the hilariously honest and deeply relatable memoir, Tough Titties, on living your best life when you're the fucking worst. I devoured Tough Titties when it came out, so getting to meet Laura and have this conversation was a total fangirl moment for me, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Laura is a self-proclaimed lazy creative and late bloomer who's built a career by turning her awkward moments, unpopular opinions, and messy truths into powerful storytelling. In this episode, we talk about how to go all in without overworking, how to make peace with your inner lazy girl or guy, and how to stop trying to be likable and just be you, because that's where the real magic lives. If you've ever worried that your momentum depends on hustle and perfection, or if you're longing to express yourself authentically but are scared that you have nothing interesting to say, this episode is for you. Laura offers the ultimate permission slip to show up as yourself, quirks and all. Let's dive in. Laura, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with me and this audience. I am a total fangirl, so it's really wonderful to have you here.
Well, Anna, I'm thrilled to be here, and thrilled that we made it, because last time the Wi-Fi gods were not with us.
Yeah, the
So
internet was not on our side last
nope,
time, so I'm psyched that take two is happening.
me too.
Um, for those listeners who, no offense to them, but may have been living under a rock and are not familiar with your work yet, could you share with this audience what you do and who you help, who your work is for?
I'm offended at the mere idea that somebody might not
I
know.
am too.
No. So I have a company called Talking Shrimp, where I am mostly known for copywriting, but I would say that my greater umbrella mission is to help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, all the people ending in preneur, mommypreneurs, etc., make their businesses a total expression of their personality, using words, so that they are getting paid to be themselves. Because I think getting paid to be you is the holy grail of work. And it's something that I've always been striving for.
I love that expression, by the way, getting paid to be you. Like every time I've heard you say that on a podcast or, interview, I just like have this massive exhale. It just
Aw,
is like, that is what we all want, I think.
right?
Um, and how did you get there? In as much or as little detail as you'd like to share, folks can go listen to many other interviews of yours and hear different versions of this story. But
Ugh.
yeah, what was the path that brought you to doing this?
Yeah, it is such a long path because it really starts like over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When my first job at Spy Magazine, I'm not going to go all the way back. I'll say that I was a promo writer for TV for many years. And that was a total dream job because I had always dreamt of that was my version of getting paid to be me was watching TV and then writing funny little things that told you what to watch. And in 2003, I made friends with somebody who I really hadn't liked at all in my hip hop class at Crunch. She was always in the front row, and I found her really annoying because she had just the hottest body, hair always looked great. She hit every move just right and was always in the front row. Like the teacher would always bring her up to demonstrate the routine. I was like, oh God, this girl.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, and then I started talking to her one day, and her name was Marie, and she was really nice. I was like, oh no, now I have to like her. And she had a life coaching business and was also juggling bartending gigs. And my now husband, boyfriend at the time, was helping open a restaurant and was looking to staff it up. And I said, do you want another bartending gig? And she said, yep, I'll take all the bartending gigs you got.
Oh my gosh.
So I hooked her up with a bartending job. He hired her, and I said, I think you're really going to like her. She's got great energy. And then, so we became better friends, and we started walking home together from Crunch after every hip hop class. I started going to her classes. And this, by the way, is Marie Forleo, who when she started teaching, she would pass around a yellow notepad, a yellow legal pad at the beginning of class or at the end. She would say, I'm not only a hip hop instructor, I also am a coach, and I have a free newsletter that you can sign up for. It's called Magical Moments. And people would be like, ooh, a free newsletter. That sounds good. And
This was
like,
back in the
so
day.
back in the day, it's free. Sure, sign me up. And so she was building, I didn't know what she was doing with these email addresses, but she was building a list. This was an analog opt-in. And she would also talk about her business and the things she was doing. She was writing an ebook, and she had some sort of a group program that was done via phone call, which I didn't really understand. Like all these people would get on the phone with her at the same time, like a conference call, and we're paying her thousands a month. And I remember telling my husband, then boyfriend, Stephen, I was like, Marie is not only a bartender, she's making like thousands of dollars a month talking to people on the phone. And like, any way you can get in on that. But anyway, one day I did. She asked me to speak at her first live event, which
Yeah.
was called Rich, Happy, and Hot Live. And it was it was 50 people in the library at Soho House. She invited me to give a talk on copywriting, which I did. And people started coming up to me after and saying, I loved your talk. I'm a realtor, or I'm a coach, or I'm a this, and I need help with my website. Can you help me write it? Can you help
Yeah.
me write my about page? Etc. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I'd never done that kind of writing before. And the
Yeah.
kind of copywriting I'd done was totally different from this world. But that is how I started getting my first online clients and segueing into this weird, nebulous world we call the online space. And the
Amazing.
rest is sort of history.
Amazing. I don't know why, but the I've heard you tell this story before in different ways, but there were
Mm-hmm.
pieces I hadn't heard this time around. And just the element of it, her Marie's groups being on the phone I've actually experienced group programs on the phone, like, back in the day, but I forgot that, and it just
Yeah,
seems kind of
it
like a
was
miracle now, actually, like, you could get people to get on the phone with you.
yeah, it was called, like, Uber Conference or
Right.
Tele something, and, yeah, that was the thing. People would have mass phone calls. No
So
Zoom,
amazing.
no faces.
It's amazing, and it's like, in many ways, I think this story is a great testament to how you like, it doesn't have to be about social media necessarily, which is how things feel now.
Yeah.
Like, this whole thing started as a friendship with someone that you met in real life.
Yes, and back then we had social media had, like, kind of just happened when I gave that talk. I gave that talk in 2009 at
Yeah,
her live event, and she had gotten me to get on Facebook. She was like, "Oh, we gotta get you on Facebook,"
right.
and then she started using Twitter, and her posts would go automatically to Facebook, and I was like, "What are these @ symbols you're using? This looks insane. I don't understand," and, she was really excited about it, and, like, it was amazing. She was one of the first people using it for business, but it was so not super necessary back then. Like,
Right.
you didn't have to in fact, I joined her mastermind in 2010, and, I was good friends in it with Amy Porterfield,
Yeah.
and Amy's focus was helping people with Facebook, for
Oh,
business,
yeah. Yeah.
and I had no idea what that meant. I was like, I don't understand, but I'm not really interested, but good for you.
It's so interesting, like, just hearing about the very recent history that now feels
Mhm.
like things have changed so
Ancient.
much.
Yeah.
Um, I wanna talk about your book, which I'm glad that
Yay.
our take one didn't happen because I didn't have the book on me, and now I have
Right.
it right
Yay.
here.
Love
It's
it.
very dog-eared. I took this on vacation with me and just, like, gobbled it up. Um, and there were so many things I related to because we both grew up, oddly, on the Upper West Side of
Right.
Manhattan, Jewish girls going to private school. So there was a
Yes.
a lot to relate to in there.
Wait, what private school did you go to?
So I went to a few. I started off at Rudolph Steiner, which is the
Oh,
Waldorf school.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
and then
classmate from Calhoun went over to Rudolph Steiner. Mhm.
yeah, they were both kinda weird schools, I
Yeah.
guess. They
Yes,
were
the weird
not
schools.
mainstream.
No.
And then went to Columbia Prep and then
Mhm.
Horace Mann, so
Oh, wow.
progressively
That's
more uptight was the
yes,
direction.
exactly, and
Yeah.
more difficult.
Yes, yes. The stress just kind of increased
Yeah,
with
built.
each step. Um, so your book for listeners is called Tough Titties. Some will be watching the video and they can see the gorgeous cover here.
Mhm.
And I mainly just love this book because it's so freaking hilarious, and it's just like everyone should read
Thank
it.
you. Thank
Um,
you.
one of the things I love and I think is very relevant to folks who listen to this podcast is that in the book, you talk about how the good kind of laziness has
Mhm.
been an asset in your life and in your career, and I think listeners will really connect to this because a lot of folks who listen are sensitive types, which is what I am too, and so us sensitive types can be prone to low energy, to, like, chronic symptoms and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, and a lot of them are people who are like, "I have this creative dream I really wanna go after, but I'm afraid I'm gonna burn out or I won't have the energy for it." A lot of them are there's, like, the people pleasing thing, feeling guilty about feeling like they're lazy. So,
Yeah.
I would love to hear you talk about what is the good kind of laziness? What does that mean? And how can you live a great life through laziness?
Yeah. Okay, so I do think that there's like cholesterol, there's good and bad lazy, and I would say that I have both in maybe equal parts, and the bad kind is just I it's probably a mask for resistance and fear of failure and all those things. Like, I don't want to. Also, there's some true laziness in there. Like, if my husband comes around with the vacuum and I have to lift my feet, I get annoyed. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to make you lift your feet." But I don't like chores. I don't like anything I don't want to do. And that might sound like, yeah, duh, but some people really like doing what they have to do. Some people don't mind doing things they don't like for some reason. And yeah, I really don't like it. So there's that, and there's a lot of procrastination wrapped in there, et cetera. The good kind of laziness, which I think is an asset, is loving spaciousness, not valuing being busy. I do not value being busy, having a crammed day. I don't locate my self-worth in how much I do and working hard. We're working a lot. I actually feel better about myself when things are easy.
And that has actually really benefited you in ways that I think, by the way, I just have to pause to say I was dying when I like, I don't know if it's in the book or I heard you talking about how like your husband does the vacuuming. And like, I think the first 12 sessions I had with my life coach were all about the guilt that I have that my husband does all the vacuuming. I freaking hate vacuuming. Like, I hate it so, so much, but I felt so guilty about it. I've mostly worked through that. I'm still kinda working through it a little bit,
Oh my
but
god.
he just does it like, it compulsively. I don't know, he cares about it a lot. It's like a stress release. To me, it's the opposite of a stress release. So when I heard you talking about that, I was like, "Laura doesn't do vacuuming." I could just
No, I
like,
don't.
wouldn't my life feel better if I just let go of that guilt?
I don't do any cleaning. The only way I pull my weight chore-wise is I make the bed every day.
Same.
You
What?
do too. And by the way, after, like, one trip to Europe, maybe 15 years ago, where we noticed they did not use a top sheet, it's
Yeah.
like, "I'm gonna live like that from now on. No more top sheet." And it makes my life so much extra easier that all I have to do is pull up the duvet and straighten out the pillows.
That
And,
is
yeah,
yes.
so
Same.
he doesn't mind cleaning. He very much cares about neatness and things, and I care about it too, but not enough to do anything about it. So I'm very lucky to have somebody who will clean up around me and who will say a couple of times a day, "My whole life is cleaning up after you." And I'm okay with that.
It's the perfect partnership. These are
Yeah, it
like
is.
complementary differences.
Exactly. We like, "It's okay. Oh, no problem. I'll clean that up." I'm like, "Good, thank you. I expected that."
Um, so I had to take that detour because that just really hit me. Um, but so the good kind of laziness, it's actually been really beneficial for your career, and I think that's something that is like, um, would be a mind shift for a lot of people because I don't know if it's the natural association or it's just the way we've been trained and brought up that like busy equals successful.
Yeah,
And you're saying, that you don't value busyness, which I think is
no.
something a lot of us, who are trying to like detox from that hustle culture could really learn from. How has it been an asset for you like in business and in life?
I think it's a is it an asset for me or something that I have to accommodate? I'm not sure, but I really like the way I have arranged my career, my workday. Like, I have created what I consider a no homework life, hashtag no homework life,
Yeah.
and made sure, like, I used to before, when I was doing one-on-ones with copywriting clients, and that was the foundation of my business. I really enjoyed the work that I did with them. I would enjoy it when I was in it, but leading up to it, I'd be like, oh God, I have something on the calendar today. Or like, I have 3 one-on-ones today, or I have a one-on-one tomorrow. And I hate keeping an eye on the calendar. I hate going from one thing to another with no time in between. I live for a day that's totally blank on the calendar. Live for it. And I never related to somebody looking at their calendar and saying, oh, there's not enough on there. Never. So eventually, like I decided I'm not going to do clients on Mondays or Fridays.
Yeah.
And I loved Mondays and Fridays so much that I thought, what if I took off Tuesdays and Thursdays too? So all I want to be doing is writing. I want to be
Yeah.
writing my emails and sitting there and doing it on my own time and be lost in my head and not have to look at the time. And I loved that arrangement. And then eventually I found myself saying, oh no, it's Wednesday. I have clients. And I realized it was time to make a change. And it was a big kind of leap of faith to say, I'm retiring from copywriting work
Yeah.
and I'm just going to sell courses. And I started a group program called Shrimp Club, which I love running. And it's 2 calls a month on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So, like on a good month, that's pretty much all there is in my calendar. And I'll make exception for like podcast interviews. That's easy. That's also no homework, and it's fun and easy. And I almost feel like the client. Whereas, yeah, it's not the same kind of thing where I have
Yeah.
to like go and take a nap or stuff my face when I get off.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, well, that just sounds like like, as an outsider, I'm like, that doesn't sound like laziness. It sounds like you just like writing more than you like one-on-ones. So it's not like you cleared your calendar to do nothing. You cleared your calendar of the thing you don't love for the thing that you do love.
Yeah, well, I would say that I operate on a binary, which is either I'm lazy or I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
And when I'm writing, I have that feeling of I'm obsessed and I can just keep going. And I'm not lazy when I'm doing that, but it feels lazy in that the day is
Yeah.
spacious and that I'm doing it the way I want. And I don't have to shower until the end of the day if I don't want to. I don't have to look nice. I don't have to put on anything if I don't want to. Though I don't like to sit, bare naked on a seat. But that's not my style either. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That
We
feels
call that
lazy to me.
Charlotte's husband in my home because there was that scene in Sex and the City where
Oh my
Charlotte's
God.
husband sits naked
Oh,
on the
Trey?
chair.
Or is it Harry?
No, it's the other one, Harry. Yeah.
Harry. Yeah. Yeah. He's more than naked in a
Yeah.
chair type. Yeah. I forgot about that. We call that Porky Pig in it. Just a shirt. Neither of us do it. So yeah, I like the feeling of laziness, even if I'm not being lazy. Like I like that I could
Yeah.
sit and write. I've always considered myself my business couch driven. Some are data driven and some are purpose driven. Mine's couch driven. I like that I can sit on the couch, write my emails. I could even have the TV on or, have Real Housewives on in the background. And that feels lazy to me.
I know what I get out of hearing you say that and, like, reading about this, is, like, just this sense of permission.
Mhm.
Like, when I hear you talk about that, I'm like, "Oh, like, I it could be okay to just do what actually feels good." It's not that the stuff that feels good is a total waste of time, like, the work you do is so helpful to people. I mean, your book is like it's a beloved book, like, you're just letting yourself do what feels good, winds up feeling good and being really helpful and making an impact for others, and I think a lot of us, I know I fall into this all the time, is like, "Oh, if I'm not like uncomfortable with what I'm doing, then it's not worthwhile. And I'm wondering if this comes up with with the shrimp club members, and is this something you coach them on, and if so, how?
Yeah, I do think that I attract a lot of people who relate to that in me, but also want that. And
Yeah.
they are in that mindset of if there's not enough on my calendar, then I'm not a good person, then I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
And so they're really attracted to that and want to hear it from me. So I will remind them a lot, like being busy, you don't get a badge of, it's not a badge of honor to be busy.
Yeah.
And you are just as worthy a person if you can do what you do in less time or with less agony. And I agree that a lot of things that are uncomfortable end up being worthwhile, and I have to talk myself through them into them every single time, like speaking on stage every time. Like, I know I'm going to say
Yeah.
yes to this, even though I know I'm going to regret it leading up to it and wish it would be canceled and wish I didn't have to pack and wish I didn't have to get mic'd and stand on stage, etc. It's always worth it. But that said, I hate that whole idea of all the magic happens outside your comfort zone. I feel like so much magic happens in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna leave it every time I get the chance. No, thanks.
I I really relate to and connect with that. And it's interesting hearing about your experience speaking on stage, and how, I think, like, for a lot, if not most people, that kind of visibility is scary and
Mm,
is definitely uncomfortable. It's like stepping way out of the comfort zone. What is it that I know for me, like, what makes those kind of steps outside of my comfort zone worth it? But I'm curious for you, what makes it worth it? Because obviously, from your whole philosophy, it's not about like ticking something off the list or like keeping
yeah.
busy.
Well, when it comes to speaking on stage, there are so many things that make it worthwhile because, first of all, I love it once I'm up there.
Yeah.
And if the crowd is with me, I love it. But there's nothing I love more than stepping off the stage and getting unmiked. I hate getting mic'd, just the tension, the
Yeah.
apprehension, that moment, like, "Oh god, here we go." I love getting unmiked and having done it. So it's like the way a lot of writers talk about writing, I love having written. I like the act of writing, actually, now that I do it for myself. But speaking, I love having spoken. And so there's the fact that I love it and it's a rewarding experience, but it also, the visibility kind of can't be beat. And the social proof of it, and people see photos of you and videos of you on stage in front of all these people, they're like, wow, you're the shit. And then they think you're the shit and they want to work with you or buy from you, and then it's self-fulfilling, then you become the shit.
And that really leads into the next area I wanted to go into, which is I love how in your book you talk so openly about wanting to be liked. Like, so
Mm.
many of the stories you tell in that book are about wanting to be liked, which I think is, even admitting that we want to be liked is something a lot of us don't do because we're afraid people won't like us if we admit we want to be liked. Um, and at the same time, like, just the fact that you're talking about it openly, this book is kind of an anthem for not giving a fuck what people think.
Mhm.
You're like laying all the dirty laundry out on the table, which is what makes it such a relatable and great read. So how do you like balance those two? Like the reality that we all experience, like we all want to be liked. That's just so real. How can listeners embody this, like allowing yourself to be the person that wants to be liked, but not giving a fuck if people have a
Right.
problem with that?
There is a bit of a paradox there, because it's true. I really wanna be liked, And I have not felt that thing kick in yet, the zero fucks gene that's
Yeah.
supposed to activate when you turn 40 or when you turn 50.
It is.
Still
It's supposed
waiting
to
for it.
activate, like, right around menopause is when it's supposed to,
Yes.
like,
Right.
click.
Well, I mean, now there's the we do not care club.
Yeah.
And when I hear them list all the things we do not care, like we do not care about chin hairs. We do not care that that our shirt is buttoned wrong. Like I do. I care. I care how I look. I care very much about chin hairs. I'm always feeling for them and going after them. And I care about all those things. Um, so yeah, it's like I would love not to give a fuck. I would love to give zero fucks, but I like to say I believe about 0% of the people who say they give zero fucks. I don't think that's true. I think it's a sexy thing to say
Yeah.
that I've got no fucks left to give. I don't think that's true. I think you're saying that mostly, most people are saying that for attention. So people think they're really cool, which means they do give a fuck. So yeah, I think, it's just something I have to live with, like, wanting to be liked, and I have to be conscious of, am I doing this to please somebody? Like, just to make them like me, to make sure they don't disapprove of me, think ill of me, or am I doing it because this is me? And so I feel like I have to check myself a lot, but yeah, I still wanna be cool, I still wanna be liked, I still want people to think I'm hot. So what can I tell you?
It's so funny because it's like, yeah, I just feel like that desire is something that so many people have shame around, but
Yeah.
it's such a point of connection. It's so, so relatable.
Yeah, and I think it would be an awesome feeling of freedom to truly not care, to only care. I think we should all care how we make somebody feel. But to really not care whether they like us or what they think of us, that would be incredibly freeing. I don't know if I'll ever
Yeah.
experience that.
I think a starting point that you really invite readers into is I feel like you're inviting us into not caring about the fact that we care and, like, not caring if other people know that we care.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what I'm saying is everyone who says they don't care is probably lying. So why don't we just admit that we care and
Yeah.
stop judging ourselves for it and stop judging anyone else for it?
Um, I know that a lot of people who listen to this podcast and who are listening to this conversation right now have aspirations of writing a book themselves, or maybe it's writing a blog, maybe it's, writing an essay, whatever. Writing something, like having that worth it experience of getting out of your comfort zone to open your mouth and actually share something. And I think one of the stories that prevents a lot of folks from doing this is thinking that they don't have a story, or that their story is boring, or that they just can't think of what to say at all. And in the work that I do, I'm coming through a lens of, like, working with the nervous system. So
Mhm.
one of the ways that I think about this is, like, when we're scared, we feel like we have nothing to say. Like, when we're in that threat response mode, we feel like the deer in the headlights, we're self-critical, and we tell ourselves all these stories about how we have no stories to tell. Um, but you talk a lot about how you can write stuff that's plenty interesting, even if you're not bungee jumping off of a
Yeah.
building or whatever.
Right, exactly. I mean, a lot of people say, "Okay, it's great for you to talk about writing stories," which is, obviously I wrote a book of stories and I also write all my emails are story based. So they're like, good for you. It's great for you to tell everyone to tell stories, but what if you don't live in a cool city like New York? And what if you don't always have
Mm,
crazy things happening to you to write about and live this big, interesting life? And like, have you read my stuff? Because most of my stories are about like my husband, Steven. grumbling about the raisin count in his raisin bran and how it's too low, or just our wars over the thermostat, things that happen in the kitchen or the living room. Like, it is rarely about, I mean, it's never about bungee jumping. It might be about how I would never in my life go bungee jumping, not a bucket list item. But stories are all around you. And I recommend having a journaling practice. So I love 750words.com. I
Hmm.
use that as, I think it's based on the idea of morning pages. And by Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way. She talks about
Yeah.
morning pages. Of course, hers are, she tells you to handwrite 3 pages, I think, every morning. But I I can't handwrite anything anymore. So I like to type on a keyboard. So 750words.com. I write every morning. Um, you know, a gap here or there, but generally I'm very good about this practice. Writing every morning in 750words.com, and it lights up green. It keeps counter of your words at the bottom, which lights up green when you hit 750.
Very
And
satisfying.
so I just write all the details of my life. And stories come out of there all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a brain dump. Sometimes it's a record of like what I ate for dinner if I have nothing else to say. But it's all these little details that I would otherwise forget. And I can go back through it, be like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that. I have to write an email about that. Sometimes I come up with a story for an email as I'm writing. But really, anything that you might say to a friend or write in a post, any comment you have is enough for a story. It's not enough for an essay necessarily, but it could build into one. So, like, your point of view about the world, like your worldview, your take on a TV show. Like, I actually think, and just like that is a great show. That's not what I think. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, for instance, I think it's gotten worse and worse with every season, with
It's
every
jumped the
episode.
shark.
Maybe
But
it's so terrible. I think it jumped the shark in its first episode, but I watch out of loyalty. But anyway, that's enough for an essay. Not
yeah.
a, maybe not a whole book, but you have stories. Anything that you might tell your friends at dinner or have to text them, that's a story. You have stories. Everybody does. Even if even if you think you're a boring person, does everyone think you're boring? Do you have really truly zero personality? Maybe. I mean, if you have zero friends, and nobody wants to talk to you, then it's very possible that you don't have a personality. Or maybe you have a terrible one and you'd be a great writer.
It's interesting. Like, as I'm listening to you talk about this, I'm realizing, like, I think because it's funny that someone said to you, like, what if I don't have these like amazing stories like you have to tell about and they are amazing stories, but they said like about all these wild events or something. And
Hmm.
yeah, reading the book, one of the things I loved about it so much is that it made me feel like I could write great stories because I often think of like I'm like I hate extreme experiences. I would never go bungee jumping. Like I like to be comfortable.
Right.
Um and I think a lot of us, or I'll just speak from first person, like have this idea that what a story is and why it's interesting is because it's about something very extreme and like very out of the ordinary. And certainly there are great stories that are about those things. Um, but I don't think that's actually what a story is or like
No.
why we connect to stories. And I'm curious what your take on that is. Like why do we like stories? Why do we connect to them? Because clearly from your writing, they don't have to be about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
No, not at all. Well, I think either there are a lot of theories, or one main theory on how humans are wired for story. That's how we first communicated, I guess, with drawings on a cave wall that told a story. That's
Yeah.
it is our biological wiring. But I would say the elements of story are really are everywhere in everyday life. Any conflict is a story. I think every story has to have some kind of tension or conflict or change. And so two people wanting the same thing, that's conflict. Two people wanting opposite things, that's conflict. Like, one person presses the down button of the elevator and the other person wanted to go up. There's some kind of a potential story there. And I always like to point out that one of the most popular sitcoms of all time, The Office, takes place
Yeah.
in the most boring situation possible, a paper company in an office park in Pennsylvania. So,
No offense to Pennsylvania.
no offense to Pennsylvania, but any like human interactions always potential for
Yeah.
story or interaction with your environment. I don't know, the TV wouldn't go on. I had a podcast interview set up and the Wi-Fi cut out right as we were trying to get on. Like,
Yeah.
just there's so many things. Any little frustrations in your day, any moments of joy, especially unexpected ones, something that you struggled for, fought for, that's a story.
Yeah, I think it's such an encouraging message about how, like, we all we use stories, I think, to process our own emotional experiences, and any experience you're talking about has an emotional arc to it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's all it is, an emotional arc.
yeah.
That makes the story.
Um, we're about to wind down
Mhm.
to the last quarter of our conversation, and before I go into my kind of final questions that I always ask, is there anything about your work that you wanted to talk about that we haven't covered yet?
I don't think that there is. I mean, anyone who wants to, I don't know when this is going to air, but since I think you brought up Shrimp Club, or I did. That's my 8-month live
Yeah.
mentoring program slash um, mastermind. And that opens up, it's already 65% full, but we start in October and there are 8 spaces left, I believe, or 7. And I'll be like anybody should get on my list, whether or not they're interested in that. But I'll be opening spots in August if this
Amazing.
happens to air in
This
time.
will come out before then, so
Okay,
folks
great.
should definitely get on that list.
Yes, they should get on my list. I mean,
Yes.
year round, whenever you're listening to this, you should get on my list at talkingshrimp.com, and you will be richly rewarded.
I can attest to that. You will definitely enjoy the emails that you get, and they will all be little lessons in how you can tell stories too.
That's right.
Um, if there is a soapbox message that's
Hmm.
kind of infused into everything that you do, your work, your writing, what would that soapbox message be that you're putting out there with everything you do?
I think it is do things and be around people that make you feel most like you.
That felt like another big exhale. It's kind of like, duh, but it takes someone giving us permission, I think, to allow
Yeah.
ourselves to do that.
Yeah, I think when you have a moment of you ever have, like, sort of a get-together hangover when you've, like, been around somebody who you felt like you were not being yourself with, like you were
Oh,
forcing a laugh or, like, nodding a lot and not having much to say, and you just felt like, "I wasn't being myself." That
oh, I'll
gives me
get
a
a headache
hangover.
after that, and it's not
Yeah.
their fault. It's, whatever the
No.
dynamic is that gets me into that, like, masking, that permanent masking stance.
Yeah.
It's
So
such a toll.
yeah, so I think, like, it's always worth seeking out, like, look for the people, take note of when you feel most like yourself, who you're around, what kind of work you're doing, who you're interacting with or what in the world. And that's like, keep notes on that and do more of that.
I'm going to replay that for myself again and again. I think everybody needs to hear that over and over and over again. And for folks who are listening who want to do more of that, they want to be more of themselves, they want to let themselves write in their I want to say their authentic voice, and I'm looking for a new word because that word is so played out, but whatever.
It is, but we know what it means.
We know what
It's
it
a short
means.
code, so we know what it means. Yes.
They want to write in their own voice. They want to be themselves. They want to have a business where they can just be themselves and make a living from that. And they're feeling inspired by what they're hearing from you, but they're also like just confused and overwhelmed and maybe like scared about where do I even begin? Is this really possible for me? What words of encouragement would you have for those listeners?
Yeah. I think that the more you notice what you love, what feels authentic to you, where you feel like, oh, this person's writing gives me permission to be more of myself in my writing or in my life. Do more of that. Take in more of that and notice, like, why? Why is it? Why does it feel that way to you? What words are they using? Um, and I find that that's usually a great model and inspiring. The more you surround yourself with that, the more you'll do it. And I would say this isn't inspiring necessarily, but it is word of advice. Steer clear of ChatGPT. I mean, you can use it for other things, but don't let it write for you. It's not going to be authentic, even if you think it sounds like you. It's not.
I think so much of what you say and write to me comes down to like, let yourself feel good. Let yourself be around the people that feel good to be around. Let yourself do the work that feels good to you. Write about what feels natural to you. And it sounds obvious when you hear it, but it's not necessarily the programming that's going on in a lot of our heads.
Yeah, no, that's true. We're not trained to be ourselves. We're
Yeah.
trained to be something else, actually.
Yeah. Um, I'm so glad that you're out there telling us to be ourselves because I need those reminders over and over again. And I love the way that you say it. Where can listeners find you? Where can they connect to your work? You mentioned Shrimp Club. I know there's lots of other stuff that they can dig into.
There
So,
is
yeah.
way more affordable stuff. So there's, first of all, my website. My digital home is talkingshrimp.com, and you'll find lots of me there. My main platform is Instagram. That's mostly where I post. So you can find me there. A little bit on LinkedIn, but I don't like the vibe over there. I don't find myself being myself on LinkedIn. So steer clear. And well, Tough Titties, as you've noted, I think is a pretty great book. And so you'll get more of me than you ever bargained for if you read Tough Titties. Promise you that. Oh, and I have an essay in a brand new book that came out. Today is Thursday, 2 days ago, on Tuesday, which is called Midlife Private Parts. And my essay, it's an anthology of essays on midlife by women, and mine is called Mysterious Charge. And it is about my, quote, laser journey at the dermatologist and hoping that my husband won't notice the enormous charges on our Amex bill.
Until he reads the book.
Yeah, he read it and he said, I liked it. Now he knows what those charges are. So, oh well.
Laura, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me and with listeners. And thank you for sharing your writing with all of us. It's such a gift and it's so fun to get to meet you and chat with you. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Anna. I appreciated this whole conversation. Loved it.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor. Hit that follow button so you don't miss a thing and leave a rating or review. It helps more people find this show, and honestly, it makes my day. And if you're looking for more ways to trust yourself and start listening to that gut instinct of yours, come hang out with me on Instagram at Anna_Holtzman. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, trust yourself. You've got this.